what would that tissue be called? And where? Non-keratinized certified specimen. Location?
Mouth.
Esophagus, mouth, anus, moist surfaces of the body, basically. Okay, any questions?
We have detail. Is albutyl different too?
Pardon?
Is albutyl different too?
So basically in a tissue that is non-keratinized, this piece will not be present at all. Okay, so there will be no keratin at all. Okay, where are we here? Transitional epithelium, location,
Bladder, ureters.
urinary bladder, ureters, function. Why is it called transitional? It changes, right? It stretches and recoils. So the function is to store urine, right? To allow the expansion of the bladder. Okay. Any questions about epithelial tissues? I think you guys should nail this one. You are in pretty good shape with this one. Okay, connective tissues. So the first thing that I want you to remember about connective tissues is that we have three major categories: fluid, fibrous, and connective tissues. We're going to start with fluid tissues, and this is the easiest line of all of them.
Blood.
Blood, right? So the question is, identify this cell. So any of these red cells
Red blood
are red blood
cells.
cells. If you want to be fancier,
Erythrocytes.
erythrocytes, right? What's the function of those cells?
Carry oxygen.
Transport of gases, how?
Hemoglobin.
Through hemoglobin that is present in red blood cells. Remember, red blood cells have no nucleus, but they have a protein called hemoglobin that can bind to oxygen or to CO2. All right, next, cell.
White cells.
Cells that are very purple, white blood cells. General function,
Immunity.
fight infections, immunity, body defense. Okay. Leukocytes is the fancy name for white blood cells. If you say white blood cells, that's fine too. Third and last type of blood cell, very small, platelets, also called thrombocytes. Thrombocytes are the same thing as platelets. Main function,
Blood clot.
blood clotting. They form thrombus. They form blood clots. Thrombus, remember, is a blood clot. Okay. If the question is classify this tissue, fluid, connective tissue. Any questions about fluid tissues? Let's move on to the second main category of connective tissues, fibrous tissues. Obviously, what you will see is mostly fibers, like in this one. What's the name of this tissue?
Areola.
Areolar or loose connective tissue, the same. The question, so function, this is like the packing material of your body. It has fibers and cells and stuff, so it's found around many organs. Okay, around, it basically cushions. That's the main function of this tissue. But if the question is, name the proteins that are found in this tissue, what would you say? What are those thick pink proteins? And collagen. And the thin purple ones? Elastic fibers. Which cell synthesizes both? Fibroblasts. Correct. Okay. Next slide. So this tissue is what? Adipose tissue. Function? Fat storage,
Insulation.
protection, thermal regulation, energy reserve. Okay. Location?
Breast. Thigh.
Breasts, around the eye, around the kidneys, because it cushions those delicate organs in the hypodermis of the skin. Right? So this is adipose tissue. Name the cell. Let's say that the question is to identify this cell.
Adipocyte.
Adipocyte. What's special about adipocytes?
The nucleus is pushed ahead.
The nucleus is eccentric. It's not in the center. Why?
Because it takes up space.
Because it is filled with fat, and the fat pushes the nucleus to one edge. Is this tissue vascularized or avascular? Vascularized. So that's another question. Identify the structure. This would be a blood vessel. So this is highly vascularized. That's one of the risks of liposuction, right? Okay. How would you classify this tissue?
Fibers.
Fibers. Fibers, connective tissue. Okay. More fibers. But in this case, the fibers are nicely organized. Dense, regular connective tissue. Location, ligaments or tendons. So function. What is when ligaments connect? Bone to bone. So you can put as function connects bones to bones. Or if you say ligaments, it will connect bones to what? To muscles. So dense, regular, wide fibers, connective tissue. Same thing. Name the cells found in this tissue. Whenever you see fibers, they're fibroblasts. Okay. More fibers. But in this case, those fibers are not organized at all. Dense, irregular connective tissue. Dense, irregular connective tissue. What are the types of protein fibers that we will see in this tissue? Basically the same fibers that you will see in a areolar or loose connective, except that here those collagen fibers are short, right? Very short. But the color is the same. The pink thick fibers are collagen, and the purple thin fibers are elastic fibers. Again, the cells that synthesize those fibers, same thing as in areolar, are fibroblasts. Okay, fibroblasts. Is this tissue vascularized or avascular? Vascularized. It is not cartilage. In fact, you can see blood vessels here. This is a blood vessel. So you can see collagen fibers, you can see elastic fibers. Any questions about fibrous tissues? Let's move on to supporting connective tissues, the last category. This is the easiest. Everyone should know this tissue. What are we looking at here? Bone tissue. If the question is, identify this structure.
Aversion canal.
Aversion canal. Is this tissue vascularized? Yes. In fact, the aversion canal contains the blood vessels. If the question is, identify this cell, osteocyte, right? And we learned today that the function of the osteocyte is to maintain the bone matrix, right? That's the function of osteocytes. Classify this tissue. Fluid fibers are supporting connective tissue. Okay. This one, I'm pointing at this tissue here. Hyaline cartilage. Is this tissue avascular or vascularized? Avascular is the only one that will be avascular. Cartilage has no blood vessels in it. So it survives because there are connective tissues nearby, right? What's the function of this tissue? Since it is supporting, support is one of them, right? It supports your trachea. It's also found in the tips of your bones, right? Today we saw in articular cartilages. So it eases the movement of your joints. It forms the skeleton of an embryo. Remember at the beginning, we had 100% hyaline cartilage. This is what the skeleton of an embryo looks like, that type of tissue. Okay. Okay, so that's hyaline cartilage. Vascularized, we said no already, right? It's not vascularized, it's avascular. What's the consequence of not being vascularized? Hard to recover. If you damage the surface of your joints, your trachea, it's a serious injury because this tissue doesn't have blood supply. No nutrients to survive or repair. Name the pink region around the cells. It's called the matrix. That's the matrix around the cells, and the name of the cells is what? Chondrocytes. Right, these cells are chondrocytes. All of these cells, let's identify them. So these are chondrocytes with thin spaces called lacunae. Okay. Remember, matrix chondro means cartilage, inside means cells. So these are cells of cartilage. They look to me like Swiss cheese or little eyes looking at you. Okay. If the question is classify this tissue, fluid fibers or supporting? Supporting connective tissue. Okay. Let me go back to this slide. So what other, besides this tissue that is hyaline cartilage, which other tissues do you see here? Who wants to show me? We're out of this slide. So we have mentioned two. There are at least two more that you can see in this slide. So the stratified, yes. Can you show me where? So point here.
This one right here?
Yes, pseudostratified. That's pseudostratified epithelium. This one is thank you. This is a little bit harder, but this is also simple squamous epithelium in a blood vessel. What else? This is simple cuboidal in a gland. What else is here? So, you know, in terms of cells, this is a, what do we call this cell?
Adipocyte.
Adipocyte, what do we call this cell? Chondrocyte, what do we call these kind of transparent cells?
Goblet.
Goblet cells. Okay, and these are blood cells. Okay. That's supporting connective tissue. Any questions about connective tissues? Let's move on to muscle tissues. So what type of tissue are we looking at, and how can you tell that's a tissue that you have? How can you tell? The nuclei are aligned on one side of the fiber. We call this a skeletal muscle fiber. Is this tissue striated, yes or no? Yes. Voluntary, yes or no? Yes. Location? Biceps, triceps, any muscle connected to a bone that you can move voluntarily, it's skeletal. Okay. Can you recover if this tissue gets damaged?
Yes.
Why? It's vascularized and it also has satellite cells. That's how this tissue can recover. Okay. How many nuclei per cell do we have? Many. It is multinucleated. Okay. Next tissue. Looks like a steak. Cardiac muscle. Location? Heart. Voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary. How many nuclei per cells do you expect to see? One per cell, right? There are intercalated junctions in between the cells. Are there striations?
Yes.
Yes. There's striations. Can we recover if this tissue gets damaged? Very little. Very little. This tissue? Smooth muscle. Location. Any organ that you cannot move voluntarily. Any hollow organ. Stomach. Urinary bladder. Intestine. Blood vessels. Uterus. Esophagus. Pretty much everywhere. I mean, everywhere that where there is muscle that you cannot control on your own, that contains smooth muscle. Function. So for all muscle tissues, contraction will be a good answer. Okay. Are there striations here? No. That's why it's called smooth. Voluntary, yes or no? No. Can you recover if the tissue gets damaged? Yes. Yes, you can. That's smooth muscle tissue. How many nuclei per cells? One. Any questions? Last one, nervous tissue. So what cells are these? All of these big purple cells. Neurons. And they have cytoplasmic extensions that receive signals. What do we call those? Dendrites. What are the cells near